Apart from the one that you usually say in class, no, I've not really done that research on VLOOKUP.
Okay, so we will be looking into VLOOKUP today. Mr. Abraham, good evening. So let me share my screen.
Oh, Mr. Emmanuel.
Okay, so we're going to look at VLOOKUP today. VLOOKUP is a function in Excel. Unlike other formulas, I did not create any slide for it because those ones, they are actually straight to the point. But I decided to create a little slide for this function because there are some explanations you need to understand first before using the formulas. So when I'm done explaining the VLOOKUP function for you, we have an assessment we're going to work on together. Then after the class, I will now post the assignment on the group chat for you to work on as well. So this is a comprehensive guide to vertical lookup operations. So the formula VLOOKUP, the full acronym, the full meaning is vertical lookup. So let me start playing the slide from beginning. Yes. So what is VLOOKUP? So VLOOKUP stands for vertical lookup. It is a Microsoft Excel function used to search for a value in the first column of a range or table and return a value in the same row from another column. So when we are working with the Excel file, you're going to understand it better, but this is just the explanation of what VLOOKUP is. So you can use VLOOKUP to search and retrieve data from large data sets. You can use VLOOKUP to match IDs, to match a name or any unique identifier. Then you can also use VLOOKUP for, you want it to create a dashboard and also an automated reporting. Don't know why this thing is not moving. Okay, so this is the syntax for the VLOOKUP formula. Every formula we are working on, they have a syntax. So if you're working with this formula in Excel and you start with equals to VLOOKUP, it's going to be lookup value, table array, column index number, and range lookup. So this is the explanation of lookup of the different parameters, what lookup value is, what the table array is, what the column index number is, and what the range lookup is. There's a broader explanation in the next slide, but just a little explanation here is the lookup value is actually the value you are looking for. Then the table array is the table where the search is performed. The column index number is the column number from which to return the value. That is the column that has the value you are looking for. Then the range lookup is to know if you're looking for an approximate match or for an exact match. So you might want to take you might want to snap this so that in case we're working on any assessment, you can easily know which explanation is working for which syntax. So this is a broader explanation. So let's say the value you want to look up for is John, and then the entire table there has column that has to do with name, ID, and department. So if you are using the name John and you want to use the name John to look for the ID, that means the column index number is going to be 2 because the ID is on the second column. This is just a brief explanation. So we're also going to work on it now. So the key characteristic of VLOOKUP is it searches vertically in the first column.
So sorry, can you go back to the previous slide? I've not copied it.
Okay.
Wait, no, not this one. The one before this. Yes, this. Just a minute.
Okay.
Let's see. Yes, it's happened.
Okay, I've done that. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so the key characteristics of the VLOOKUP formula is it searches vertically in the first column, it returns the first match found, it's actually case insensitive, it cannot look to the left of the lookup column. So it's only going to work vertically and it cannot look to the left. So if you want to look for any value that is in the left-hand side, you might be working with XLOOKUP. There's VLOOKUP, there's XLOOKUP, and then there is HLOOKUP. And there is also index and match, all in Excel. So we're going to use VLOOKUP today. So when data is organized vertically, you can use VLOOKUP. But if the data you're looking for is not organized vertically and it's organized horizontally, what you're going to be using is HLOOKUP, which is horizontal lookup. Then when the value you're searching for is in the first column, you can use VLOOKUP. And then when you need to fetch related information from another column, you can also use VLOOKUP. Then these are just little common errors you might be seeing. So if you see this error of n/a, that means there's no match found. Then REF means that you are working with an invalid column index number. Then this value error means that you're working with an incorrect data type. So these are the kind of 3 errors you're going to encounter while working with VLOOKUP. So these are the definition of the errors in case you come across it. So limitations of VLOOKUP, it can only look up values to the right of the lookup column. It is slower with large data sets, cannot handle dynamic column references easily, is not case sensitive. So what this just means that if you're looking for any higher advanced performance for VLOOKUP, you might not have to start working with maybe pivot tables or Power Query. But when it comes to formulas, it's one of the good, like one of the top 3 formulas in Excel. But it cannot do a whole lot compared to working with pivot table or Power Queries. So I think that's all for the explanation in VLOOKUP. So we're going to dive straight into our Excel application. Is there any question? Is there any question before we start working on it? Okay. Let's see. Okay. Sorry, 1 second. I'm trying to bring up the document we are working on today. Okay. Sorry, just give me 5 minutes. Let me try to put this in order. Okay, so unfortunately, I didn't save the document, so we'll have to start afresh. So this is the document we're working on today. I already had the document I worked on with all the data there, so that I will not start typing in the data one by one, but I can't find it any longer. All right, so let's take a look at this. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Affirmative,
Okay.
yes.
All right, so this is the first example. Here we have basic VLOOKUP by ID. So we have the table for, we have the column for ID, we have the column for name and age. And here we want to find the age of the person with ID 2, meaning that the person with ID 2, the person's age is 30, but we want to use VLOOKUP to work on this. So using the formula, the syntax of the formula I already explained to you. So the answer is going to be, first of all, equals to VLOOKUP, right? Then the lookup value, what's the lookup value going to be based on the explanation I gave to you? The explanation I gave to you now in the PowerPoint slide, at least I gave the meaning of lookup value, table array.
Will be ID 2.
Okay, ID 2, right? Then the table array is going to be from A3 to C5, right? Then what is going to be the column index number? The column index number. Please, you can go back to the slide. I told you to take a picture of it so that when you see the formula, you will know the one we are working with now. We've done the lookup value. Now, we've chosen the table array, which is the table that has all the information we are looking for, which is from A3 to C5. So now, what is the column index number going to be?
The column is index number should be 2.
2.
2.
No, the column index number
I
is
took
going
up
to be 3 because we have 3 columns. And we want to know the age. And the age of this person fell under the 3rd column. So it's going to be the 3rd column, which is ID is the 1st column, name is the 2nd column, age is the 3rd column. Do you understand now? So now we have the range lookup. True is for approximate match. False is for exact match. So what we are looking for, are we looking for an approximate match or we are looking for an exact match?
An exact match.
Okay, which is going to be false.
False.
And double click on false, and then you can see the answer is 30. And the person with the ID 2 is Bob, and Bob is 30. Do you understand? This is a basic explanation of how
Sorry.
VLOOKUP works.
What? Sorry, why is it false?
Okay.
As in, where does false come in?
Look at the syntax of the formula. The first one is the lookup value,
Value,
right?
yes.
Which is
Yes.
ID 2. The next one is the table array, where the information is in, which is from A2 to A5
The
to
entire
C5.
table.
Yes.
Okay.
Then the
Yes.
column index number is the column that has the value, which is the 3rd column. Then comma, we now have the range lookup. So now this means that what we are looking for, the age we are looking for, are we going to work with an approximate match or we are going to work with an exact match? Meaning that if there was an age here that was 29.9 and there was another one that was 30, you want to know if you want to work with the one of 30 or if you want to work with the one that is already the exact match, which is 29.9.
Okay,
So now what
okay,
we
I
are
can see
looking
them.
for, now is the exact match.
Okay.
And now for exact match, you can either use 0 or you type in false. So anywhere there is false here, it's exact match. Then anywhere there is true, it's exact match.
It's approximate.
Sorry, it's approximate match. Yes, sorry. So false is exact match, true is approximate match. Then using numbers, 0 is false, true is 1. So even if I put 0 here, it already takes it to be
False.
the exact
No,
match.
true.
No,
No.
it doesn't. It's not going to show which one is 0 or 1. If you put 0, it already knows it's the false one, which is the exact match. Even if I change it to 1, it's not going to go down to false. But me, I know that 0 is false
0
and
is
1
false. Okay.
is true. Do you get? So
Okay.
that is it.
Okay.
So I can choose false, so I'll use 0, which is
Which is
this
exact
answer.
match.
Exactly 30. So the file I was looking for, it already had up to 10 examples there, but I'll have to impute it on my own now, which was what I was avoiding, so that it's not going to take much of our time. So the next example, let me do maybe a simple use case scenario for name and score. So I'm going to delete this name and score. So I'll change this to score 85, 90, 78. So now the task here will be to know the score for Bob as well. So find Bob's score. This is a simple one as well. So what's going to be the formula here? This will be equals to VLOOKUP. The lookup value is going to be Bob. I can type it in as a string. Then the table array will be from here to this place. The column index number is going to be 2, and the range will be false, which is 0. The answer is 19. Someone is not muted. Sorry, I can't hear you. It's distracting me. So now we're going to have a second use case scenario. So let's say we want to work with a cell reference, right? So let me quickly impute this here. I want to work now with a cell reference. This is a different use case scenario. It's not like this first one that is very simple. So let me name this lookup with cell reference.
Sorry, Phil, before you move on, I noticed in that formula when you are entering the data,
Okay.
you didn't leave space. But originally I was noticing space as in using space bar in those things with screenshots. Do you get my question?
No.
No, if you drop, that's this last example now.
Is it this
Good.
place?
Yes, this VLOOKUP now. That space, yes, where your cursor is now.
No, it's just, I was typing it in now, so I wouldn't type it like I'm working on Excel.
Okay. So it's not that there will be space there.
No. It's just me that was typing. I wanted it to look good because without the space, everything is looking jam-packed.
That's okay. I get it now. I initially thought there would be space.
Okay, no.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, sir. So let's take, for instance, that we are working with a cell reference, right? So let me put this under here. And I'll add one more person here, Charles. And I'll make Charles to be 70, right? This one now was not with any cell reference. This one, I brought in the lookup value on its own as a string. But using a cell reference, as we all know, is any information that now changes in that cell is going to give a different output. So if I say I want to look for the score for Charles equals to VLOOKUP. So instead of putting in Charles, I will just come and click on this cell A14. So this is the cell reference. And then my table array, my column index number 0 is going to give me 70. But if I come to this place now, this cell that was already referenced, if I come to this place and I change it to be joy, it's still going to give me 70. So now the question now of what is the score for Charles is no longer valid because it's no longer Charles that's inside this cell. What is inside this cell now is joy. So this is the difference between cell reference. So you need to know that if you're working with VLOOKUP, you might either be using a particular cell or you're bringing in the criteria on your own as a string. These are the two basic examples in VLOOKUP. So now, the third one is going to be able to use VLOOKUP to work from another sheet. These are some things we've already worked on before when we're doing the sales tracker. We're using two different sheets at the same time. So now, if you're using VLOOKUP to work on two different sheets, it's also going to be the same thing. The only difference now is that the names of the sheets will be changing, just like the way it used to change in the sales tracker. But I'm going to do it so that in case you've forgotten, you're going to see it here. So I'm going to open a new sheet. So here, I also want to know Joy's score here in A1. So it's going to be equals to VLOOKUP, open my brackets. The lookup value is Joy. So I can come here and click on A14. You can see up here, the formula has changed to equals to VLOOKUP practice sheet A14 because this is the sheet we are working on. Then the next one is the table array, which is this table array. The column index number is 2 and the range lookup is false, which is also 0. The answer is also here. This is using VLOOKUP from another sheet. So this is another kind of scenario you might come across while trying to use VLOOKUP. So you should be able to know that if you are going to use two different sheets at the same time, you're not going to click enter until you are done typing your formula, because if you click enter, Excel is going to think that you're already done typing the formula and it will give a wrong output. So you need to finish typing it inside the formula bar before you click enter to get your results in the next sheet. So now we have a different case scenario where we now want to work with approximate match. You know, before we've been working with just exact match. So now we want to work with approximate match. So let me delete this and name this approximate match. I'm going to send this workbook. That's why I'm not happy that I didn't save the initial workbook I worked on. It was very detailed. So this third scenario now is going to be with approximate match. So let's say we have a table that has two columns, A and B. So anywhere there is 0, the other column is going to be showing F, which is filled. 50 is D, 60 is C, 70 is B, and 80 is A. So let me do that here in this place. So I have column A and I have column B. So now we are working with D and E. We're not working with A or B, so that you're going to understand when the formula is going to be changing to D3 and E3. So we have 0, we have 50, we have 60, 70, and 80. So now 0 is failed, 50 is D, 60 is C, this is B, and this is A. So now here, I want to be able to work on approximate match. So we want to look for, since we don't have 67 here, I want to be able to get 67. So we already know that from 70, if you score less than 60, like if you score from 50, anything from 50 to 59, you scored D. If you scored anything from 60 to 69, you scored C. And then if you scored anything from 70 to 79, you scored B. And then anything from 70 to 79 is B. Then from 80 and above is A. So that means from 0 to 50, you also scored F. This is where the table is. So I want to use VLOOKUP to know if anybody that scored 67 passed. Because we already know that 60, if you are from 60 to 69, your score is going to be C. But now we don't have an exact match of 67. What we have is only 60 here. But we want a situation whereby even when 67 is imputed, it's still going to bring out C, because now we are working with an approximate match. So now the answer is going to be here on D8. So the formula is going to be equals to VLOOKUP. The only difference now is that we are working with an approximate match. We're not working with an exact match. VLOOKUP. So our lookup value now is going to be 67. So I want to know the score of 67. But 67 is not here in the table. Then the table arrow is going to be from D3 to F8. And then the column index number is 2, which is the grade. Then the range lookup is going to be true, approximate match. And then you close the bracket. You can see that it is returning C, showing that if I had a larger table whereby anybody that now scored from 60 to 69, the person's grade is going to be C. Using this VLOOKUP formula and choosing that it's an approximate match is going to answer that question for me. But if I use false, 1 second, if I change this true to false, it's not going to give me an answer, because what I am looking for is an exact match. But why it gave me C is because I'm looking for an approximate match. So if you want to start rounding off your, I don't know how, I've forgotten how they do that thing, 1 decimal point, 2 decimal point, but if you want to round off your figure, it's going to be 60. So that's why I'm using true. So true is going to bring out the approximate match in that table. I don't know if you understand. Is there any question, Mr. Sanu?
Yes, please. These 2, you said the grade is 2.
No, the grade is in column. So what did you say?
That 2, the 2 before the true.
The 2 is the column index number.
What is that?
Column index number is this second column.
The column.
It's this second column that has the grades.
Column. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, column 1, column 2.
Yes.
Okay, I get it.
So now, since we are looking for 67 now in this table, and 67 is not found, it will return the last value lesser than 67, which is 60. And why it's going to be able to return 60 is because in this range lookup, we made it to be true. And true means approximate match. So now, if I change this 87 now, if I change this 67 to 87, what is going to bring is A, which is 80. Because since it did not find 87, it went to go and look for the value that is less than 87, but in that same range. And bringing in this range lookup of true is going to make it to be an approximate match. I want you to understand the difference between approximate match and exact match. When we are doing this table for name and score, we're working with an exact match because we wanted to look for the exact answer. But now in this place, we're not working with an exact match. We're working with approximate match. I don't know if you understand these 2 examples. Mr. Sanu, do you understand it? Are you following?
Yes, I get it. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Tofumi, you wanted to say something?
No, not at all.
Okay. All right, no problem. So I should move on.
Yes. Please.
Sorry. Just before you move on, this formula now, the last thing after the index number, range lookup, is that what shows the whether it's approximate or it's exact?
Yes, let me start again. So now I want to look for the grade for 50. So the lookup value is going to be 50. And let me not use cell reference. Let me put in 50. Then the table array is from D3 to F8. If I put in my comma, you're going to see it's going to take me to the next required syntax. The next one now is column index number. Now this column index number is the column which has the answer I'm looking for. So now we have two columns here, 1 and 2. We are working with the second column, which is the column that has the grades. So that's the 2. Comma. Next is the range lookup. So what we are looking for, is it an approximate match or is it an exact match? So now we are working with 50. 50 is an exact match, sorry, not an approximate match. So I'm going to bring in false or 0. So if you're not seeing false, you're either seeing 0. If you're not seeing true, you're either seeing 1. Then I'll close the brackets. It's going to bring out the grade, which is D. So now, a situation whereby my lookup value now is 57, but I still want to have an answer. So now this answer is going to be based on the approximate match, because if I just change this 57 and I click OK with this range lookup still being false, it's not going to give me an answer because 57 is not in this range. But if I change this false now to true, which is an approximate match, it's going to go and bring any value that is less than 57. Do you understand? The value it's not just going to go and bring maybe if there's 40, it's not going to go and bring 40 because 57 is also, because 40 is also less than 57. No, it's going to be in that same range from 50 down to 59, but it's going to be an approximate match. So it's going to return the value of 50 for me because now we are working with an approximate match. So now this is the answer, D. So this is just the difference between an exact match and an approximate match. Do you understand now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now there's another thing that they call named range. So apart from having a table that you can now name the table to score table or sales table or product table or any kind of table, it's also possible that you can name a particular range. So let me take these two columns to a new sheet. Let me paste it here. So instead of turning this to a table, to now name this maybe score table or name it as score, it's possible to name this range. So up here we have data. Where's the tab that has to do with this named range? Sorry. Formulas, let me check. Okay, yes. So here we have define name. We have name manager, we have define name, we have create from selection, meaning that you can name a particular range. So instead of going to go and say A1 to B6, if you name this range of A1 to B6 to be score, anywhere the formula sees score, like if you bring in score as a string, it's going to know that you are working with this range of A1 to B6. So now let's work with A2 to B6, right? So we are going to select from A2 to B6 and we are going to name this range as scores. So I'm already in my formula tab. I'll go to name manager here. So this is the dialog box it's going to bring out. So you click on new. You want to have a new defined range. Then I will name this range as what? Scores. Then this scores range now, I'm not referring to just sheets 1, B2. I'm referring to from A2 to B6. So now this whole range now of A2 to B6 has been named as scores, right? So now this is a range now. I'm going to close it. So now if I want to use VLOOKUP now, instead of calling in the range, instead of typing in the range normally as A2 to B6, I can easily just put in scores there and it's going to bring out the answer for me. Or let me work with this other table that has to do with name and score. Let me leave this one. Let me use this one that has to do with name and score. Okay, let me use this too. Ctrl V. So now I'll go to name manager and I'll delete this one. Are you sure you want to delete the name scores? Okay, so I want to start again because I've changed the data that is here. So I'll make A2 to B5. Now we're working with A2 to B5. So you go to name manager, then I'm referring to A2 to B5, new. I'll name this scores. I've deleted the first one, so I'm doing it again. I'll name this scores. Then I am referring to A2 to B5. Okay. Then I'll close it. It's already saved there. So now I want to know the score for joy. So equals to VLOOKUP, right? The lookup value here is going to be joy. Now, the table array. Normally, we can always go here and highlight from A2 to B4, right? To B5.
Yeah.
But since we already have it saved in the name manager, this particular range is already saved in the name manager as scores. You can see even when I highlighted it, it's showing scores here immediately. Meaning that even without highlighting it, if I come here and just type in scores, it's going to take this range because this particular range has been saved here in your name manager as scores. So this is different from table because now this is not a table. This is just managing different segments in your sheet. Maybe you have a large sheet and you just want a particular range. You're always working with a particular range. So you can easily go and name that range. So anywhere you put the name of that range in your formula is going to work with that particular range. So now this is another use case scenario in VLOOKUP using named range. So now I want to know the score for joy. First of all is the lookup value, which is joy. Then the second one is the table array, which is already scores. Then the column index number is going to be 2. Then the range lookup is going to be 0, which is exact match. You can see the answer is 70. Do you understand this explanation of the named range? Othniel, are you following? Do you have any questions?
I am following you.
You are following me, oh. Is there any problem?
I'm following you. Don't mind me.
Okay. I wanted to know if the O at the back is if you are just following or if you are truly following.
I'm following you from naming the table.
So that
Okay.
means this formula now, instead of putting 2,0 can just put 2, false.
Exactly. Yes, you can put
Okay.
2, false. But me, instead of typing false, I might just put 0.
0 is
Because
easier.
0
That's
stands for
Exact number.
false. Yes, which is
Yeah.
exact number. So that is it. So the only new information we are gaining here in this new example is what? Using the name manager. So let's say now, let me make this place now. This from B2 to B5, I'm going to name it grade. So let me go to name manager. new, and I'll name this one grade. Then I'm going to refer to from B2 to B5. Okay, close. So now I want to know the sum. So now equals to sum, open brackets, grade. Can you see? It's just going to give me, so I don't need to go and start highlighting that range of B2 to B5 again, because I already know that this range has been given a unique name, which is now grade. Do you understand the concept beside this name manager? Because you might want to work with it using a larger data set. Do you understand, or I should move on?
Yes,
Yes,
We
yes, it's
understand.
clear. It's clear.
Okay, it's very clear.
And it
All
will be
right,
very
so
useful later.
yes, so the next use case we're going to work on is error handling with if error. So let's say, for instance, the value you are looking for is not there in the range. So instead of bringing out this their formula of NA, I can now say it can now bring out not found. Let's say I now have, instead of Joy, I want to look for Charles. You can see it's bringing out NA. But using this if error, I know I wanted to use it the last class, but it didn't work. So now using if error, so instead of showing that error symbol, it's just going to bring out not found. So it makes your output more defined. So I'm going to add if error at the back. Let me put it at the back here first before I start afresh, because if I start afresh now, it's going to confuse you. So now this equals to if error. This formula for if error now, it has its own syntax. Its own syntax now is value, comma, then the value if error, meaning that the first value now, the first information that is going to fill in this value is already this initial formula we have of VLOOKUP, Charles, cos 2 and 4. So this is the first value. So what we're now saying is that anything that you're looking for in this value, if it is not here, then return not found. So after this value now, at the back of this symbol, now we're going to put comma, then it will take us to the next one, which is value if error. Then we are going to now put in the value if error to be not found. Then we'll close the parenthesis. Do you understand? So instead of just showing us that n/a, which is an error because the information we are looking for is not in that range, it will just return not found. So let me start afresh by starting with if error. So now equals to if error, right? You open your brackets. The next thing that's meant to be here is the value. So now this value is going to be that VLOOKUP formula, because that's the formula we are working with. So we'll now impute the VLOOKUP formula now, meaning that we can have more than two functions running at once. Just like when we were doing left and find, we had two formulas working at once. So here too, we also have two formulas working at once, just like the way we have count if, sum if. Now we also have if error and also VLOOKUP working together. So now the value is going to be VLOOKUP, then the lookup value is Joy. Or let's say the lookup value, let me look for something that's not here, David. The lookup value is David. The table array is from A2 to B5. Then the column index number is 2. And then the range lookup is 0, which is exact match. Then after putting in this value, we are not done with the if error formula. The next thing now is value if error, meaning that if there's an error now in this formula, what is going to be the value? We'll now put in not found. So this is it. So it makes your work look more organized. You will not be having lots of error syntax showing on your output. So instead of putting that NA to just bring out not found. Do you understand the if error? So this one is used for handling errors. This is the 6th scenario that can happen in case you want to handle lots of errors and you don't want your work to be showing NA. You can just use this if error and then put a value to show when there is an error. So now the value not found. You can also make it to be blank. So instead of showing that not found, you can also make it to be blank. So nothing is going to be there. It will just be blank like that. I don't know if you understand this.
Yes, ma'am. We do.
Okay. Are we flowing with the class? Is it boring? I'm just recovering. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying.
Yes, ma, we are understanding you.
Okay. So now we also want to use two formulas now as well. I know you remember the if formula. The if formula is a logical formula. So now we want to use the if formula and the VLOOKUP formula to fetch a score and then return a particular score to be passed or failed. Meaning that if we want to know that anybody that scored less than 85, the person failed, and anybody that scored more than 85, the person passed, just like the regular if formula we used to work with. So now we can also use the if formula and the VLOOKUP formula at once. So let me just give you a scenario for that. Equals to if, then the value, the logical test is going to be VLOOKUP, open brackets, joy is the lookup value. Then the table array is from A2 to B5. The column index number is 2. And false. Then you close the brackets. So now this is what we are done with the VLOOKUP now, but we are not done with the if formula. So now if this logical test now is greater than or equals to 80, then value if true, pass, and value if false, fail. So now we are using two formulas at once, just like the if error. So let's see if it's going to give us an output. Exactly. So it's going to be failed. Why? Because joy here is not up to 80. Joy here is 70. So that's why is giving us failed. So you can see that you can use VLOOKUP and even other formulas at once to solve a particular problem. Then another interesting part of it is also using data validation and VLOOKUP. All these things all these examples I'm giving you are the possible examples or possible scenarios you can meet when you're working on a project. That is why I'm going thorough, starting from both the basic to the advanced. So now let's say, for instance, now we have a cell that is validated. So let's say, let me remove all of this and make it to be a validated cell. So I have Alice, Bob, Carol, and Joy. So let me clear the content. So I'll go to data validation, list. I hope you've not forgotten this. I'll go to list. Then the source. Since there is no source, I can type in the information I want to be in the cell on my own. So Alice, Bob, Charles. Let me use Charles. And Joy. Then I'm going to drag this data validation down. So now, let me work with a new formula now. So equals to VLOOKUP. Let me use Alice now. I want to know what Alice called. So now I'm going to just use any cell reference here. Let me use A2. Then the table array will be from A2 to B5. Column index number is 2. Range lookup is 0. And that's it. You can see that it's giving me NA. But if I choose Alice now, it's going to change to 85. I don't know if you understand, because this cell is just validated. So is any information now that is in this cell that is going to determine this output. So if I change this one now to Bob, Bob is still going to be 85. If I change this to Alice, it's not going to change. But I don't know if you understand the concept between this data validation. So now it's possible that in this cell now, cell A10, it's possible that you also want that if any other name is changed, let's say you put Charles, and Charles now is 90, it's possible that this cell can change to 90. So to be able to use that one, we are going to work on index match. I think I have a document here that has it. Let me quickly show you. Index match, financial modeling. 1 second so that you understand what I'm talking about. Okay, it's not here. Excel materials. Okay. Financial modeling. All right. So now, can you see my screen?
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
you?
You can see it.
Okay.
Yes.
So now we have different countries here. Switzerland, Spain, France. That is all these countries you are seeing here. So if I change any country, the particular sales for May is also going to come out. If I change it to January, the sales for January is going to come out. So now this was used from index and match. So looking up here, you're going to see the formula, index and match. So index and match is a higher version of VLOOKUP. So now VLOOKUP is only working with one information at a time. VLOOKUP cannot be interactive like this, but it's also important. But this index and match is matching this information from this table as well. So this small workbook now is using index and match, is using data validation, and is also using SUMIF. Then this one here is data validation because this cell has a list of all the months, while this one is just for year. Okay, there's year as well. There's 2022 and there's 2023. Then this sales is having this output using this formula, which is the index and match. So we're also going to talk about index and match, not just VLOOKUP. So this was just a little task for financial modeling. Instead of going to pivot table, if using formula, you can do a lot using formulas in Excel. You don't even need to start going to pivot table. The little formulas you are aware of can help you to have an interactive sheet all at once. So this is what I'm trying to explain here, that in this work now, I'm just choosing Bob and it's only the information of Bob that is coming out. But if I was to use index match, everything was going to be changing. It was going to be interactive. So that's going to be a new topic for another day. Then we are going to round off Excel at the end of this week. We're not going to round it off totally, but we're going to start Power BI next week. We're still going to come back to Excel to touch the VBAs. Is only going to be VBAs we are going to touch lastly, because VBAs is very broad. And if I say let me start doing VBAs now, it's going to take a whole lot of time. So what I'm going to do, when we are done We'll now come back to VBS to round it off, but we'll finish the Excel classes this week. Then there'll be a little practical for it. So we are still going to work on relationships in Excel. We are still going to work on pivot tables, and we're also going to work on Power Queries and even how to consolidate your data in Excel. But this one is just the formulas we're trying to round off, the advanced formulas. So this is using data validation and VLOOKUP together. So I think I have just 2 more use case scenarios. So this one is the drop down. Then we also have VLOOKUP and match. We have index match. We also have VLOOKUP and match. So let me quickly create a table for that. So doing this VLOOKUP and the match is going to give you an insight of what index and match can also do. So this table is going to have name, score, and grade. 1 second, let me put down the table. It's going to have your name, your score, and your grade. So index and match, they are 2 different formulas, but they work hand in hand. Just like the same way VLOOKUP and if error are also 2 different formulas, but they're also working hand in hand. So we're going to work with VLOOKUP and match now. So we have Alice, Bob, and Grace. Let me use another name. Let Joy rest. Bob and Grace. Then 85, 90, and 95. So 85 is B, 90 should be A, and okay, let me make this to be 70. And 70 should be C, so that there are different things. So now we want to find the grade of Bob. We want to know what Bob scored. So now, before, if we just want to know what Bob scored, it's going to show us 90 using only VLOOKUP. But now we don't just want to know what Bob scored. If it's 90, we want to know the grade, the particular grade. So instead of returning 90, it's going to return the allocated grade, which is A or B or C. So now we are going to use both VLOOKUP and match. So first of all, we'll use the VLOOKUP first. So VLOOKUP, I don't know if you can call out this formula for me. Let me be sure you're already used to it. I'm listening. What is the lookup value? Lookup value is Bob. Then the table array
Oh,
A2 to
A2
C4.
to C4.
okay,
Yeah.
so now that's
Okay.
8 to
So this is where we are going to stop, right? We are
Okay.
not going to continue with the column index number or the range lookup yet. So now we want to match the grade. So now this output for Bob is meant to be 90, but we don't want it to return 90. We want it to return the grade instead. So now we are going to bring in match. So now what is this match formula going to do? It's going to return the relative position of an item in an array that matches a specified value in a specified order. So now I'll open the bracket for you to see the syntax of match. So now the lookup value now is grade. The lookup value for this now is grade. Then the lookup array now is different from table array. We have 3 different lookups here. We have name, we have score, and we have grade. So now, which array has this particular lookup value which is grade? There's meant to be a range that also has this same criteria of grade. So now the range now is going to be from A1 to C3. is A1 to C3 that has the information of this grade now. First of all, the VLOOKUP is different from match. Now, VLOOKUP is if you are working with vertical columns, but match, we are trying to return a particular information to correspond with either Bob or Alice or Grace. So now, the lookup value now, we are working with grade, which is the criteria to find grade. So which array does this criteria fall under? It falls in from A1 to C1. Now, the match type is going to be 0 because we are working with exact match. We also have match type here is 0. You can see now, you can see that 0 is exact match. Can you see it? 0 is
Yes.
exact match. Then now we are done with the match formula. We're now going to finish the VLOOKUP formula. So we're not going to go back to column index number now. We are not going to fill in column index number. You know that first of all, in this VLOOKUP, we've not filled in the column index number. Is this new formula now, this match formula now, is what is now serving as the column index number.
Yes,
You can now see that up here, you can see, oh, it was showing before, you can see here now, it's showing 3. So automatically, this formula is saying that the column index number is column 3. Do you understand?
I get that.
Yes. So now the column index number now is column 3, which is that grade column that has either A or B or C. So this formula has served as that column index number. So we don't need to start bringing in 3 or 2 or 1 any longer. So now the next thing now will now be the range lookup, which is false or 0. Then you close the bracket. So you can see it has brought out the grade for Bob, which is A. So this is how VLOOKUP and match works. The same way index and match works as well. Is there any question? I've been asking if there's any question. Is there any question? The class is too dry today.
I think I have a question.
Okay.
The matching of VLOOKUP and match together, I felt why is it that we didn't just make use of the column index number, since that is what we're actually looking for? Like, although I get the fact that you're trying to let us know that we could match the VLOOKUP and the match together, you get it. But I was just looking at, since we just use match, grade, and why do we still have to, select the range from A1 again to C1? Since we can see, it is very obvious that grade falls under the third column. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Why do we still have to, start the range again from A1 to C1 again?
So now if I can understand your question is why am I still bringing more formulas? Why am I stressing the formulas? Why can't I go straight to the why can't I just go straight to the normal answer? Why am I bringing match? Why am I trying to complicate things? I'm trying to complicate things because you will still need these formulas in the future when we are working with a project. So that's just the answer. I know there's an easy way to it, but then it's already in your syllabus that I talk about index match and VLOOKUP match. And that is why I'm talking about it.
Also, the VLOOKUP, when you started, the
Okay.
parentheses, is it bold in quotation? I mean, not parentheses, no, in quotation. We could have as well replaced that with A3, like I said, right? Instead
If
of
you
just
replace it with
starting
A3, that
Bob.
means that means you're not working with just Bob specifically now. You're now working with a cell reference. If you use A3, it's fine.
Okay.
But if the person's name now changes to another thing, the information is not going to be exact.
Valid.
It's not going to be exact now. That's it.
That would be all for me there.
Can you please return the formula? The
Okay.
match formula.
Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Okay, this is it.
All right. Yes.
So these are all possible scenarios
C4.
using VLOOKUP. Drop down using VLOOKUP as a working with a drop down on VLOOKUP, using the name range, that is naming a particular range. Instead of making it a table, you can actually name a particular range. Then using VLOOKUP and match. Also VLOOKUP with cell referencing. So these are the 4 possible ways you can work with VLOOKUP. So the only advanced thing there in VLOOKUP is just this VLOOKUP and match, VLOOKUP and data validation, and then VLOOKUP and the name range. But if you just understand how the syntax works, it makes it easier for you to impute the correct formula and the correct cell. So any formula you're working with, once you open the bracket, you are going to see the syntax. So as long as you're following that syntax correctly, you're going to have the correct answer. So is there any question? Let me round off and post the assignment on the group chat so that we have something to work on before Wednesday.
Sorry, can you go over validation, data validation?
Okay. Oh, I think I cleaned that, but I can repeat it here for you. I think I removed that information. So let me remove this. Let me clear content and put data validation here.
Okay.
Wait, Ctrl Z. Oh shit. Okay. So if there was this if error now, here, it would have not just gone to NA. It would have given me not found or maybe blank. It's not going to show me that NA. So let me quickly put this if error here so that you are going to understand how this if error works as well. Any opportunity I have, I'll use it to make sure something sticks to our memory. So do you understand this if error now? I've deleted this name, but now not found is showing here instead of that NA it was showing before. So I'm going to go to data validation. Allow lists. Then my source, there is no source now. The source can be maybe a particular range that has the information you want to be imputed in a list. But since there is no source, I'm going to type in the list myself. Alice, comma. Is this comma that is specifying that Bob is the next thing? So anything aside from the comma is going to move to the second option. So Bob is the second one. Sorry, I'm not done. Alice, Bob, and Charles. What did I click? Oh, that's okay. So if I now click Alice here, it's going to show this formula is working with Bob. Okay, so let me put Bob instead. If I put Bob here, you can see it has changed to B. So that is data validation. Data validation just has a drop down. So a cell just has a drop down. So is anyone that you now click on is going to give you the output of it. That is if that output is in a formula. Mr. Shanu, do you understand now?
Okay, I'll get back. Let's go. I don't
Okay.
delay everybody.
Okay. Okay. So that's all for today. Dami, you're just coming. Good evening. I'm just seeing your message. Okay. Think she's busy with work.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. So sorry, I'm still at work and I'm not even with my system. I'm still within the site.
No
That's
problem.
why I
It's
sent
fine.
that message to you.
Yes, I've seen your message. I'll reply you. We'll walk around it. No problem.
Right. This will make me look like my back is paining me.
Okay. So thank you so much. That's all for today. I'll send the assignment across.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a good night.